Hey guys, it's Dasha. Welcome back to my channel, and welcome to another round of a game of tomes. If you don't know, this is my TBR game. I play it every month. I roll the dice, I move around the board, and I have a bunch of prompts to pick from. And I'm gonna just gently put it away. If you've never seen a round of this, I will leave the playlist link down below where I go over all the rules and all that fun stuff, as well as every previous round that I've done. I find them fun to go back through and watch, but obviously it's up to you. If you are not new, however, you must have seen February's round, so let's go over the books that I had picked out for February. So this was the stack I had in February. I went for pretty short books because it's a short month and I had a ton of stuff to do. Our first prompt was House Targaryen to read a fantasy, so I read The Last Wish. And of course I had completed this book because it was part of the Witcher read-along that I'm co-hosting. The next prompt was a Raven card. I had to read a book I forgot I owned, so I picked The Shock Doctrine by Naomi Klein. I am not quite done with this book, but I did start it and get a chunk of the way through, so I'm counting it as completed. The prompt after that was Old Town. I had to read a nonfiction, so I picked Cultish by Amanda Martell, and I did complete this book. I then landed on House Martell, which was a free space, so I picked The Toll by Neil Schusterman, and I have completed this book. The final prompt was The Wall. I had to read a book that's been on my TBR for way too long, so I picked Tenders the Night by F. Scott Fitzgerald, and I am mostly done with this one. So all in all, this stack is technically completed. There are no punishments to do in March, which is such a relief. However, my reading plans for March require me to still do 5 rolls. I just can't escape it seems. If you don't know, I co-host a readathon based on this game and the world of Song of Ice and Fire called A Game of Tomes, the Readathon. I will leave the announcement video link down below, as well as the website, all the details. But long story short, in the month of March, there is the main quest happening. It's a month-long readathon. There are 5 prompts to complete, so I have to take all 5 rolls and try to match up the books as best I can with the prompts. But there's no punishments, that's good, I guess. Not only that, but I do still have the read-alongs happening. So as I said earlier, the Witcher along is happening, and I'm also starting a shorter read-along for the entire Live Ship Trader series by Robin Hobb. I will leave the announcement video where I talk about these read-alongs down below in case you guys want some more details. But yeah, I have to get those 2 books on the list. So that's already 2 out of the 5. So hopefully everything goes well. Let's get into the rolls. All right, so last time we left off right over here. While I don't have any punishment to take this month, there will still be 5 rolls because of the readathon. So I will start off with roll number 1, I guess. 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Ooh, how's Tully? Forgot to go get it, but here is the jar. A short story collection. Oh my god, I couldn't have picked it more perfectly. I could not have asked for a better random pick. So short story collection would normally be a thorn in my side because I don't read these often. I color coded all of the prompts in the jar, and yellow corresponded to like genres that I don't read as often, so they went in the jar as like a random pick, and normally I wouldn't read these. However, the second book in the official Witcher reading order is another short story collection like The Last Wish. So this is like the most perfect fluke I could have ever asked for. I don't know how it worked out so well, but it did. So I'm going to count this for this prompt. The Witcher is a fantasy series. It's about Geralt, who is a monster hunter. He underwent a bunch of mutations to be able to get these superhuman abilities to fight monsters. The book we read last month, the first book, which is The Last Wish, is also a collection of short stories, and so I'm excited to read this other one to be able to get into the main story. I don't personally love the short story format. I find it's a very poor way to get you used to the world. Even though I've played the video game, I'm more acquainted with the world, I still find it's not as exciting as reading an actual like full plot with all the beloved characters. So I'm looking forward to kind of getting this one out of the way. But I'm still excited because I love the world of The Witcher. It's really, really fun for me between the game and the books that I've read so far. So I'm still excited, but short stories are not my thing, but I guess if there was any month to pick this one, it would be this, so I can finally fit this into my TBR. I'm also going to be using this for my Game of Tomes TBR. I'm going to be pledging for House Stark. I am remaining with my house. I am loyal to a fault. So I'll be using this for the group prompt, which is to continue a series. I think this just works perfectly for that. Okay, and roll number 2. That's a 2. And that is The Red Keep. Read a book with red on the cover. So next we have The Red Keep, and this could not go any more perfectly. I'm gonna slide this book in and get it out of the way. It's Ship of Magic by Robin Hobb. So this is part of the read along I'm co-hosting. So again, if you want more details, check that out. But this is the first book in the Live Ship Traders trilogy, which is the second series in Robin Hobb's Realm of the Elderlings. It all takes place in the same world, but follows different characters. So I have read the first series, which is the Farseer trilogy. It just follows Fitz, but this is the first multi-POV that I will be reading from Robin Hobb, and I'm really excited. You are following mainly 2 different people in this. You're following a woman who is set to become the captain of her family's live ship when she is snubbed and someone else gets it. And you're following a pirate who wants to become king of the pirates and capture a live ship for himself. Live ships are ships made out of wizard wood, and they're magical because if 3 generations of a family die on the decks of the ship, it becomes alive. So they're valuable, they're incredible, and they are very, very rare. I'm really looking forward to this despite the fact that I don't love ship settings for the most part. I don't really like pirate stories and all that kind of stuff, but I trust Robin Hobb with my life. I've heard that the multiple POV works really, really well in this. People absolutely love it. And as much as I love Fitz's story, it's gonna be nice to get her writing in a different setting with different characters. I'm really looking forward to trying this, and I'm especially excited to be able to talk about it with other people. I'm really excited for the live shows. The first live show is set, so I'll be sure to provide the link to that down below. I'll also be posting it on my community tab when the time kind of approaches a little bit. I'm really going to be looking forward to discussing theories and discussing Robin Hobb in depth because her books are made to dissect a little bit, so I'm really excited. This will also fulfill the prompt for the Game of Tomes Readathon to read a book with an animal on the cover. There is a big bird right on the cover. Roll number 3. One, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. Count monthly hauled books and move forward or back depending on how many I hauled. I was good in February. I hauled less than 3 books. So I get to move up 3 spaces. 1, 2, 3, and we're gonna roll again for roll number, that was roll number 3, 2. Lady Caitlin, read a book with a female main character. So next we got a card that I think we've seen before, Lady Caitlin. I'm picking Bunny by Mona Awad for this. This is a kind of thriller horror book about a girl who goes to a new school, and she comes across this group of women who call themselves Bunny. They're really weird, they're really ostracizing, but somehow she gets sucked into their weird world. I've heard that this book is super weird. I think I've said that word like 6 times already. I've heard that this book is just super trippy, super like, what the hell is happening? And I kind of like that. Then again, I've been burned by that before, so who knows? It is what it is. I'm still looking forward to this one because I do enjoy unhinged female characters and the kind of dissection of academia and privilege and like small groups like that and the elitism. I think that's the word I was looking for, elitism. So I'm looking forward to this, and it's a book that's on my list of 22 books for 2022, so I'd like to get around to it. If you missed that video, I will link it right up here. I just talk about a bunch of books that I want to read this year. I made myself a very calculated list, and this book was on it because I have it on ebook. I paid for it and I still haven't read it, so we're gonna get around to that. This book works for the prompt for a Game of Tomes to read a book about someone in training. I'm kind of using it for this because it's someone that's in a school that is training for her degree, so I'm counting this. I did say in the announcement video, and even when we were just making up the prompts with the girls, that you know, a school setting would work. You can definitely stretch it because it still is someone training. So it counts for that and for this because the main character in Bunny is a woman. We're gonna roll again for 4, 3. 1, 2, 3. Ooh. Winterfell, reread a book. All right, I'm looking forward to this one. Reread a book. Now, I love rereading. I've been rereading mainly, especially lately, to continue series just because there's so many things I have on the go, and this is going to be no exception. As much as I would love to reread like a favorite, this is kind of a favorite still. I'm going to be rereading The Bone Shard Daughter by Andrea Stewart. I'm so excited. I finally got my hands on a copy of this and the sequel, so I really want to reread this in order to get to the sequel, which I've been anticipating for ages and never picked it up. This is an adult fantasy. This was one of my favorite books of 2020. Yes, 2020. This is set in a world where there are these kind of migrating islands. It's very reminiscent of ancient Asian cultures. It's a mishmash of a few of them. I don't know which one specifically that the author was inspired by, but I know there's definitely a few different ones. And in this world, there is this kind of magic called bone shard magic. Every citizen of this empire gets a little piece of bone extracted from behind their neck, I think, when they're young. And this bone shard magic draws upon that little piece of bone and the essence of the human to power constructs, which are these kind of like hybrid creatures that the emperor can create, and he uses them as magistrates and as soldiers and to fulfill all kinds of functions within the empire. It's really interesting. So you're following a few different point of views. You're following the emperor's daughter as she is trying to train and become the next emperor, but she's also kind of in a competition with the protege of the emperor, and she's also suffering from memory loss from an illness in childhood, and she's trying to figure out who she is. She's also very ambitious, so she's really fun to read from. You're following a smuggler, Jovis, who is just trying to find his missing wife, but he keeps getting sidetracked by like side quests to be a good person and to like smuggle kids around the empire because there's a war brewing and people are just trying to survive. You're following a couple other people, including a sapphic couple and someone who's like really mysterious on an island just harvesting mangoes or something. It's just, there's a lot. There is a war afoot. There is a very oppressive empire. It's just a lot of things I love. When I read this, I literally read it in 2 days because I could not put it down. And the sequel came out in November, so I definitely want to reread this, annotate it, and continue on to the sequel. The author just finished writing the manuscript for the third book, so hopefully we get that relatively soon while all of this is still fresh. But I would never mind going back into this world, to be quite honest with you. So I will reread it a third time. I don't care. But yeah, I'm going to pick this for the reread a book because obviously I have read this before, and this will also be working for the Game of Tomes prompt to read a book with a gray or silver cover because this is mainly like grayscale. And our final roll, 1. Okay, we've got Daenerys. If I look back, I am lost. Read a book featuring a quest or a journey. And then we have Miss Daenerys. Read a book featuring a quest or a journey. I went with not a fantasy, surprisingly, because I think there's enough. So I'm going to go with As I Lay Dying by William Faulkner. You guys might have seen this one a lot lately. It was on a TBR back in 2021. I just wasn't able to complete that TBR. I didn't even start this book. On top of that, I showed this in a Trash My TBR video, and a lot of y'all trashed it actually. So I'm thinking of doing a vlog with the books that were trashed the most. So let me know if that would be interesting. But besides that, this is a classic. It features a family bringing their matriarch's body back to her final resting place, as far as I know. So I'm like 98% sure it involves some kind of journey with her body, but it's also a critique on like the working class American life at the time, if I'm not mistaken. There's just a lot of really good stuff. Someone whose reviews I really like watching said that this was like one of the coolest books he's ever read, one of the best books he's ever read, despite everyone else trashing it. So I have no idea what to think going into this. I think I'm gonna like it. I like that it's short as well, but I really don't know what to expect. But like I said, there's a quest or a journey. And it works perfectly for Game of Tomes because there's also a prompt for House Stark to read a book featuring some kind of journey. So I'm going to be using that to fulfill this prompt. And there you have it, folks. This plus Bunny is my stack for March and for the Game of Tomes Readathon. I'm so excited to be hosting it again. I had so much fun with my girls, and I love that everyone else really had a good time. We worked so hard on the story and the prompts and all the social media aspects, so I hope you can join us for that. If you guys are participating, let me know what your TBR looks like, as well as your house. And other than that, feel free to check out my social media, which is linked down below with everything. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!